I had always loved hiking, walking through forests, climbing hills, and breathing the fresh air. Made me feel alive. My name is Jack. I am 25 years old, and I live in a small town, near the mountains. One day, I decided to explore a new trail. The map showed it as an easy hike, but as I walked deeper into the woods, I saw something strange. A thick fog. The fog was white and heavy. It covered everything around me. I thought, should I turn back? But I was curious. I had never seen fog like this before, so I kept walking. After a few minutes, I saw something. It looked like houses, but they were old and small. I had found a hidden town. I smiled. This was exciting. I loved discovering new places, but as I walked closer, something felt strange. The fog was still thick, but I could see people now. They were walking around the town, but no one noticed me. They seemed happy, but their faces looked a little empty. I felt a chill go down my spine. Something wasn't right. I entered the town and smiled at the first person I saw. "Hello," I said, but they didn't answer. They looked at me, smiled back, and then walked away without saying a word. I shrugged it off and kept exploring. The houses were all the same, old, wooden, and small. Everything looked like it was from a long time ago. I tried to talk to a few more people. They smiled at me, but no one spoke. It was as if they didn't know how to talk. I felt uneasy, but I didn't want to leave yet. Something was pulling me to stay. It was like the town was calling me, telling me to explore more. I walked into a small shop. There was a woman behind the counter. She smiled at me, like everyone else. "Do you sell anything here?" I asked. She nodded, but didn't speak. Instead, she pointed to the shelves. They were full of old books, jars, and strange tools I had never seen before. I picked up one of the books. It was old and dusty. The title was in a language I didn't understand. I put it back quickly and left the shop. The woman's smile never changed. As I walked out, as I walked further into the town, I saw a small park. There were children playing, but they were silent. No laughter, no shouting, just the sound of their feet on the ground. It was the quietest place I had ever been. Then I saw something that made my heart race. There was a small bench in the park. On the bench was an old notebook. It looked like someone had left it there by mistake. I picked it up and opened it. The pages were yellow and torn. The handwriting was messy, but I could read it. "This town is not what it seems. We are trapped here. Please, if you find this, help us." I froze. Trapped? What did that mean? I looked around. The people were still walking, still smiling, but now their smiles seemed wrong. It felt like they were hiding something. I quickly closed the notebook and put it in my backpack. My mind was racing. Could this town really be a trap? I had to find out more, but as I looked around, I realized something terrifying. The fog was getting thicker, and the way I came from was gone. I tried to walk back the way I came, but the fog was everywhere. I couldn't see the path. I was trapped in this strange town. Panic started to rise in my chest. I took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. There had to be a way out. I walked up to one of the townspeople. "How do I leave this town?" I asked. The person just smiled and pointed towards the fog. "You can't," they whispered, their voice soft and distant. My heart skipped a beat. I backed away slowly. Something was very wrong here. I had to find out what was going on, but first, I needed to know if anyone else was trapped here like me. I walked around, trying to find someone who might help. Everyone I spoke to just smiled or said nothing at all. It was like they were all in some kind of dream. But I wasn't dreaming, this was real, and I was stuck. Just as I was about to give up, I saw an old man sitting by a tree. Unlike the others, he wasn't smiling. He looked tired, sad, and lost. I walked up to him and asked, "Do you know how to get out of here?" He looked up at me with tired eyes. "There is no escape," he whispered. "We are all lost here, trapped, just like you." I felt a chill go down my spine. "But why? What is this place?" I asked. The old man shook his head. "This is where lost souls go. The fog keeps us here. It won't let us leave. You came in, but you can't go back. No one ever does." My heart sank. Was I really trapped forever? I couldn't believe it. There had to be a way out. I asked the old man, "Isn't there any way to escape?" He looked at me for a long moment and then nodded slowly. "There is one way," he said quietly, "but it's dangerous. You must solve the mystery of the town." The old man told me that the town was full of secrets. The people here weren't alive. They were souls, lost in time. They had all been trapped by the fog. Just like me, the only way out was to uncover the truth behind the town's curse. "There is a hidden place," the old man said, "a place that holds the key to the town's mystery, but it is guarded by something not human." I shivered. "What guards it?" I asked, afraid to hear the answer. "The spirit of the fog," he whispered. "It watches over the town. It keeps us here. If you want to escape, you will have to face it." I didn't like the sound of that, but what choice did I have? I couldn't stay here forever. I thanked the old man and started planning my escape. I followed the old man's directions and found myself standing in front of an old house on the edge of the town. This was the place where the spirit of the fog lived. According to him, my heart was racing as I opened the door and stepped inside. The house was dark and cold. Every step I took echoed through the empty halls. At the end of the hallway, I saw a door. Slowly, I pushed it open. Inside was a small room, and there, in the middle of the room, stood a figure, a woman dressed in white, her face hidden by a veil of fog. She didn't move or speak, but I could feel her watching me. I stood frozen, staring at the figure in the room. The air was thick with fear. This was the spirit of the fog, the one the old man had warned me about. My heart pounded in my chest. I had to escape, but I had no idea what to do. The spirit didn't speak. It just stood there, as still as the fog outside. But I could feel something, a presence. It was like the air was alive, pushing against me, heavy with power. "Why am I here?" I asked, my voice trembling. The spirit didn't answer. Instead, it slowly raised its arm and pointed at the walls. I looked around and saw something I hadn't noticed before. Symbols. They were carved into the wood, strange shapes that seemed to glow faintly. In the dark, I stepped closer to get a better look. The symbols told a story of the town, the fog, and the people trapped within. It was the curse. Long ago, something terrible had happened here, a tragedy. The fog had come to take them, trapping their souls forever, and now I was part of it. I realized what I had to do. If I could break the curse, I could set everyone free. But how? I kept looking at the symbols on the walls, trying to understand their meaning. One symbol stood out, a circle with a line through it. It looked like a key. I remembered what the old man had said. There was a way to escape. This had to be the clue. But before I could think more, the spirit moved. It glided toward me. Silent and slow, I backed away, my heart racing. It wasn't angry, but its presence filled me with dread. It pointed again. this time at the door behind me. I understood. It was giving me a choice. I could leave now, return to the town, and accept my fate. Or I could stay, face the curse, and try to break it. I took a deep breath and stepped toward the door. But instead of leaving, I grabbed a small book from a dusty shelf nearby. It was old, just like the notebook I had found earlier in the park. I opened it, hoping it would help. Inside were pages filled with more symbols, and there, on the last page, was a drawing of the town. The fog surrounded it like a cage, but in the middle there was a symbol, another key. This was it. This was what I needed to break the curse. I left the old house and hurried back into the town. The fog was even thicker now, swirling around me, whispering in my ears. I clutched the book tightly, my fingers shaking. I had to find the heart of the town, the place where the curse began. As I walked through the silent streets, I felt like I was being watched. The townspeople were still smiling, still moving about as if nothing was wrong. But I knew better now. They were trapped, just like me. I reached the town square. In the center was an old stone well. It looked ancient, like it had been there for hundreds of years. The book showed the well, and the key symbol was right above it. This was the heart of the curse. I stepped closer, feeling the weight of the fog pressing down on me. I opened the book again and traced my finger over the key symbol. I had to do something, say something, but what? I closed my eyes and whispered the words I had seen in the book. The air around me seemed to pulse with energy. The fog swirled faster, and I could hear faint voices, cries, whispers, begging for release. The ground beneath me trembled. Suddenly, the fog shifted. It moved away from the well, as if pulled by an invisible force. I stepped forward and looked down into the darkness. Something was there, deep inside. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it, a presence, trapped for centuries. I knew what I had to do. I took the key from the book and held it out over the well. I release you, I whispered. I break this curse. The wind roared around me, and the fog exploded outward, vanishing into the sky. The townspeople stopped moving. Their smiles faded, replaced by confusion. They looked around, as if waking from a long dream. The curse was broken. The townspeople gathered in the square, their eyes wide with wonder. They were free. I could see it in their faces. The old man appeared beside me, his eyes filled with gratitude. You did it, he whispered. We are free. I smiled, but inside, I felt a strange sadness. These people had been trapped for so long, lost in time, and now they were leaving, fading away, one by one, like the fog. Soon, the town would be empty. The old man was the last to go. He looked at me and nodded. Thank you, he said softly. Then he, too, vanished, leaving me alone in the quiet town. I stood in the empty square, the silence almost deafening. The town was still, but the fog was gone. The curse had been broken, and the souls were free. But what about me? Could I ever know? I walked back toward the path I'd come from. The fog that had once blocked my way was gone. I could see the trail leading out of the town. Relief washed over me. I was free. As I took my first step out of the town, I stopped and looked back one last time. The old houses stood quietly, the air clear and fresh. It was hard to believe that just hours ago, this place had been a prison for lost souls, but now it was just a quiet, forgotten town. I turned and walked away, my heart lighter. I had escaped, but the memory of the hidden town would stay with me forever. And as I walked down the trail, I couldn't help but wonder, were there more towns like this? More places where lost souls wandered, waiting for someone to set them free? I didn't know, but I was sure of one thing. I would never forget this town. Hidden in the fog, lost to time. As I made my way down the trail, I felt the warmth of the sun on my skin for the first time in hours. The world outside was bright and alive, but the memory of the fog still lingered in my mind. I glanced back one last time, half expecting to see the fog rolling back in, but there was nothing, just the trees and the quiet. I kept walking, feeling the weight of the adventure behind me, the notebook, the symbols, the spirit of the fog. All of it seemed like a dream now, but it wasn't. It was real, and I had survived it. I reached the edge of the forest and stepped onto the road. Cars passed by, the sound of engines, and the hum of life returning to my ears. It felt strange, like I had been gone for much longer than just a day. As I walked toward my town, I thought about the people I had met, the townsfolk, the old man, the silent children. They were free now, but their story was not over. It lived on in me, and somewhere out there in the world, another lost soul might be waiting for someone to help them escape the fog. But for now, I was free, and that was enough. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, check out more interesting English stories on this channel.